You will not believe the moment my whole life stopped. I was standing in the middle of my baby shower, holding a pink gift bag and smiling at everyone, when my husband, Kelvin, walked toward me with a straight face. At first I thought he was bringing me a surprise gift. But when he came closer, when he stretched out his hand, when he placed a white envelope in my palm, something inside me broke. I opened it. Read the first line. And my knees almost gave way. It was divorce papers. At my own baby shower. In front of 40 guests. While I was 8 months pregnant. Everyone gasped. My mother grabbed her chest. The balloons behind me trembled because of the ceiling fan. And Kelvin just stood there, looking so cold, like he was handing me a receipt, not ending our marriage. But the craziest part was this. He thought he had destroyed me. He thought he had won. He had no idea that I came to the baby shower with my own announcement, one that would crush him completely. And before I reveal what I said, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Let's see how far this story travels. To understand how Kelvin became the man who would embarrass his pregnant wife at her own baby shower, I need to take you back to how we first met. And trust me, nothing about him seemed dangerous at first. Kelvin was the soft-spoken, respectful, yes, ma'am, no ma'am type of Nigerian man. The kind of man mothers dream of for their daughters. He worked as an accountant, always ironed his shirts, and smelled like lemon spray and seriousness. I, Miriam, was the complete opposite. Loud, playful, always laughing, and always dreaming bigger than my bank account. But Kelvin loved that. At least, he pretended to. The first time he introduced me to his family, his mother hugged me so tight I thought she wanted to keep me. His sisters called me a queen. His father prayed for me like I had already married their son. Everything felt perfect. But you know how baby chicks look cute until they grow claws? Yeah, that was Kelvin. Our first year of marriage was peaceful. He cooked for me, rubbed my feet, even washed my hair sometimes. People used to say I was the luckiest wife in the world. But slowly and very slowly, little cracks began to show. One night, Kelvin came home late. Not normal late. 2 a.m. late. His excuse? My phone died. Even though I could see the battery was still at 67%. When I pointed it out, he laughed and said, "Ah, babe, the phone must have charged in my pocket somehow." I should have known then. But love makes you blind and sometimes deaf. Then came the second warning sign. Kelvin suddenly became very protective of his phone. He used passwords. Changed them. Changed them again. Turned his screen away when he was texting. And started sleeping with the phone under his pillow. But the biggest warning sign came one night when I woke up to pee and noticed Kelvin wasn't in bed. I listened carefully. He was whispering in the sitting room. A woman's voice giggled through his phone speaker. When he saw me standing there, his face turned stiff like concrete. Oh. I was just helping a coworker with numbers. At 3 a.m. With giggling. But again. I ignored it. Because I loved him. Because I believed him. Because I was pregnant. I found out only 2 weeks later. And when I showed Kelvin the test, he lifted me off the floor, spun me around, and kissed my cheek. Or at least, that was what he wanted me to remember. But now, after everything that happened, I know that smile was fake. Everyone kept telling me, Kelvin is planning something big for your baby shower. He even hired a decorator. Little did they know he wasn't planning a celebration. He was planning an exit. The decorations? The music? The cake with "Welcome Baby Angel"? All of it was just a disguise. Looking back now, all the signs were there. Kelvin had been distant. Kelvin had been cold. Kelvin had stopped touching my belly. Kelvin even stopped calling me a babe. But I thought he was stressed because of work. I didn't know he was preparing the most painful moment of my life. The hall was decorated with pink balloons and flowers. Everyone was smiling, taking pictures, dancing, eating jollof rice. I wore a long milk-white dress because I wanted the baby shower to feel like a new start. Everything was perfect. Until Kelvin walked in holding that white envelope. He didn't greet anyone. He didn't hug me. He didn't smile. He just came straight to me like a soldier on a mission. "Miriam," he said quietly. "I think you should see this." My hands shook. My breath froze. My mind went empty. When I opened it, when I saw the words, "Petition for divorce," my soul dropped to the floor. Everyone went silent. Even the DJ removed the music. My best friend Tonia rushed to my side. "What is this? Kelvin, what's going on?" But Kelvin didn't answer her. He didn't answer anyone. He looked at me and said the last thing I expected. "I can't do this anymore. And I don't think this baby is mine." The room exploded with gasps. My mother screamed. My aunt nearly fainted. Someone yelled, "God forbid." Cameras started recording. People were whispering like angry bees. But Kelvin didn't care. He stood there with his hands in his pockets, waiting for me to fall apart. Waiting for me to beg. Waiting for me to cry. He thought he had power over me. But he made one mistake. He didn't know. I had my own announcement. And the moment I opened my mouth, the moment I told everyone the truth, Kelvin's face changed completely. The man who thought he was humiliating me was about to be the one humiliated. I said something that made him step back, lose color, and almost drop to his knees. For a moment, after Kelvin said, "I don't think this baby is mine," I couldn't breathe. Not because I was shocked, but because the whole room suddenly felt too full, like the air had turned into heavy blocks pressing against my chest. People were whispering. Phones were recording. The decoration lights were blinking like they were confused too. Even the baby inside me seemed to freeze. But Kelvin didn't care. He stood tall, chin raised, waiting for me to break down so he could feel powerful. And then something strange happened. A calmness washed over me. I wiped my tears. Took a slow breath. Straightened my dress. And turned to face the crowd. Everyone waited to hear what I would say. But instead of crying, my voice came out strong and steady. "Kelvin. I'm glad you brought this today." The whole hall went silent again, not the scared kind of silence from before, but the shocked kind, the "what did she just say" kind. Kelvin blinked. His mouth twitched. He wasn't expecting confidence. He was expecting a meltdown. But this wasn't the moment I fell apart. This was the moment everything flipped. I held the microphone. My hands stopped shaking. And I looked at my husband with a calm anger I didn't even know I had. Before everyone arrived, I said, "I plan to make an announcement today." My mother turned sharply. Tonia grabbed my arm. Kelvin's smile dropped a little. I continued. "But since you've brought papers," I lifted the envelope. "Let me bring the truth." The room leaned in. I looked at Kelvin dead in the eye. "Kelvin, I know you've been cheating." A few people shouted, "Jesus."
Ha!
God have mercy. Kelvin's eyes widened. He actually stepped back. Yes. My announcement was about to crush him, and it would crush him more than he imagined. The story behind my announcement started months before the baby shower. One afternoon, Kelvin was in the bathroom and forgot to take his phone with him. A message popped up. "Baby, did you tell your wife yet?" And the sender? Someone saved as Electrician John.
Ah.
So Kelvin thought he was clever. He renamed the woman with a man's name. Another message came. "Don't forget the plan. She doesn't deserve you." And then. "Remember, we travel in August." That was the first time I felt the world shift under my feet. My hands went cold. My throat dried up. My heartbeat felt like thunder. Kelvin came out of the bathroom and snatched the phone before I could react, but I had already seen enough. That night, he tried to kiss me. I turned my head. He asked why I was quiet. I told him I was tired. Inside me, I was breaking, but outside, I was planning. Planning carefully. Quietly. Smartly. Planning the moment that would destroy the smile he gave that other woman. A week later, I decided to visit Kelvin at work. I wanted to surprise him with lunch. When I walked in, the receptionist's face changed like she had swallowed hot pepper.
Ah.
"Mrs., you're here again today?" she asked. "Again?" I repeated. She froze. Her eyes widened. She realized she had spoken too much. "Wait," I said slowly. "Do you mean Kelvin's wife comes here often?" She panicked. I didn't say, "Please, don't tell him I." But I had heard enough. I walked out with a shaking heart. If someone else was coming there, pretending to be me, then Kelvin had crossed a line even deeper than cheating. He wasn't just unfaithful. He was building a whole fake life behind me. I hired someone. Not a spy. Not a secret detective. Just a friend of my cousin who was very good at connecting dots. In 2 days, he sent me pictures. Pictures of Kelvin holding another woman's waist. Pictures of them going into a hotel. Pictures of them eating at a fancy restaurant. Pictures of them kissing in a car. And the worst one? A picture of Kelvin touching the woman's stomach, the same way he used to touch mine. She was also pregnant. My breath left my body when I saw that. Not because Kelvin had another woman. But because he was celebrating her pregnancy while ignoring mine. That night, I held my belly and cried. Long, painful tears. Tears that felt like they came from my bones. But after crying, I wiped my face and made a decision. If Kelvin wanted war, I would not fight him quietly. I would tell the truth, in front of everyone, when he least expected it. So I kept the secret until the baby shower. Back in the hall, everyone was staring at me. Kelvin forced a laugh. "Miriam, stop this nonsense." I ignored him and continued speaking into the mic. "For months, I knew you were seeing another woman," I said clearly. "I know about the hotel. I know about the restaurant. I know about the trip you planned. I know everything." Gasps burst across the room. Kelvin's face turned red. The veins in his neck popped out. "Miriam, keep quiet. You don't know what you're saying." "Oh, but I do," I answered. "And since you think the baby isn't yours," I paused. "Let it burn. Let him panic. Let him sweat. Let me show everyone the real reason you brought divorce papers here." The whole room leaned forward again. Kelvin's voice cracked, "Miriam, don't." But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because my announcement, the real one, was the part that would destroy his entire plan. I reached into my purse, pulled out something, held it up high. And the hall screamed. Kelvin froze. His eyes widened like he had seen a ghost. I dropped the mic. People started shouting. Kelvin grabbed his head with both hands. The moment I raised my hand and showed what I had hidden in my purse, the whole hall exploded with noise. People stood up. Some screamed. Some covered their mouths. Some started praying loudly like a church service had started by accident. Even the DJ shouted,
Ah.
"Wouldn't be this." And Kelvin? Kelvin froze, completely still, like someone had pressed the pause button on him. Because in my hand was the DNA test. A DNA test for him. A DNA test he didn't know I had taken. A DNA test that wasn't about my baby. No. This DNA test was about the other woman's child. The one he had been proudly touching in pictures. The one he thought belonged to him. The one he was planning a new life with. I held the paper up high and said, "Kelvin, the baby you think is yours, is not your baby." The hall exploded again. People shouted, "Ewu. Jesus, take control."
Ha!
Kelvin Dawn enter. My God. This life. Someone even tried to record the paper from far away like it was breaking news on TV. Kelvin's legs became shaky. He grabbed the back of a chair. His face turned white, like he had seen lightning strike right in front of him. But I wasn't done. Not even close. The truth is, I didn't go looking for a DNA test. The evidence came to me. One afternoon, the other woman, her name was Sharon, posted a picture online. She hid her face, but she didn't hide Kelvin's hand on her stomach. The post caption said, "Can't wait to meet our little prince." My friend sent the picture to me immediately and said, "Miriam, this looks like Kelvin." I zoomed in. I checked the shirt. I checked the wristwatch. I checked the skin tone. It was Kelvin. No doubt. That picture was the moment my heart shattered. But then something happened that changed everything. 2 days later, Sharon posted another picture, this time of her ultrasound sheet. She blurred out the important parts, but not enough. The hospital name was still visible. The date was still visible. And most important of all, her full name was still visible. My blood turned warm. I felt something grow inside me, not anger, but strength. I went to the hospital quietly. I didn't shout. I didn't fight. I only asked one thing. Can I run a DNA test for this father? I have his consent signature. And guess what? I did have it. Kelvin had signed a hospital form months earlier during one of my antenatal checkups. I kept that form. The signature was enough for the lab to compare. So I submitted Kelvin's signature and Sharon's ultrasound details. And after 7 long days, the truth came back. 0% probability of paternity. Kelvin wasn't the father. Sharon had been lying to him. Using him. Playing him. The same way he tried to play me. Kelvin shook his head violently. This is fake. Miriam. You forged this. You're trying to embarrass me. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I simply opened the envelope fully and let the pages fall out. Signed. Stamped. Official. His sisters ran to look. His mother pushed through the crowd with trembling hands. When she read it, she screamed and fell to her knees. Kelvin. This is what you have been doing. The whole hall turned to Kelvin like a court sentencing a criminal. Aunties started talking at the same time. I knew it. I said, this man is moving strange. He has been cheating and still wants to disgrace the girl. Shameless man. Imagine bringing divorce papers to a baby shower. Kelvin's lips were shaking. Miriam, please, come, let's talk outside. I stepped back. There's nothing to talk about. Kelvin began sweating. Sweat poured down his face like rain. He tried again. Miriam, listen, please, you don't understand. She told me, she said, she made me believe. Oh really? I cut in. You believed her more than your own wife? The crowd murmured loudly. Someone shouted, tell him, Miriam. Another shouted, wicked husband. Kelvin gripped his hair with both hands. This is not happening, he whispered. This is not happening. But it was. And the worst part for him? The cameras were still recording. Just when Kelvin thought things couldn't get worse. They did. Because I wasn't done yet. I looked at him and said loudly. Kelvin, you brought divorce papers today because you thought I was trapped. Because you believed I needed you. Because you assumed this baby had no future without you. He swallowed hard. But you see, I continued, holding the microphone tight, you should have waited before embarrassing me. Kelvin stared at me, breathing fast. Why? He asked quietly. What do you mean? I pulled out a second envelope from my purse. This time, the hall went silent, a deep, fearful silence. Even the baby inside me kicked like it felt the tension. I took out the papers slowly and said, "Kelvin, let me show you my results." He blinked. "Your what?" "My own DNA test." His whole face twisted. "What? Why would you?" The guests screamed again. Everyone moved closer. I looked straight at Kelvin and said, "Kelvin, before you accuse a pregnant woman of cheating, I lifted the document. You should be very sure." He stared at the page. His eyes were shaking. His knees were shaking. His entire spirit looked like it wanted to run away. I took one step forward, looked him dead in the eye, and said the words that would break him completely. "Kelvin, this test proves exactly who the father of my baby is." The hall erupted. Kelvin grabbed the edge of a table to stop himself from falling. His voice cracked. "Miriam, please, don't say it." But I was already opening my mouth. And what I was about to reveal next would crush him more than anything that had happened so far. Because the truth inside that envelope, the real truth, was something Kelvin could never have imagined. Not in his worst nightmare. You could hear a pin drop. Kelvin stared at the envelope in my hand like it was a bomb. His chest rose and fell fast. His lips were trembling. His fingers were shaking. Everyone was waiting for the final truth, waiting for the storm to hit, waiting for the moment this nightmare would end. Even the decorator stopped adjusting balloons. The food servers stood still with spoons midair. Someone whispered, "Father God, hold my wig, something is coming." And they were right. Because what I was about to reveal was the final blow. I lifted the microphone and said, "Kelvin, this DNA test proves who the father of my baby really is." Kelvin swallowed hard. "Please, don't do this," he begged in a tiny voice. But he brought divorce papers to my baby shower. He started the war. I was simply finishing it. I opened the envelope. Pulled out the paper. Held it up. And then I said the words that shattered Kelvin completely. "Kelvin, you are the father of my baby." The entire hall screamed. Some with shock. Some with joy. Some with anger. Kelvin's mouth fell open. His face went pale, then red, then pale again. He looked like someone had slapped him with pure electricity. What, he screamed. I nodded slowly. "Yes. You are the father. I took the test because you were acting strange. You stopped touching my belly. You stopped coming home early. You stopped loving me. I needed peace. I needed the truth." Kelvin staggered back. But you said you had an announcement that would crush me." I gave a small smile. "Oh yes. And I did crush you. But not because the baby isn't yours, but because the baby is yours, and you were the one doing wrong." The crowd gasped again. His mother burst into tears. "Kelvin, you have finished yourself. You tried to leave a woman carrying your child." She smacked his shoulder repeatedly. People started shouting all over again. "She is innocent. You tried to disgrace her for nothing. Shame on you. Your own baby, and you were busy chasing another woman." Kelvin tried to talk, but his voice cracked apart. "Miriam. I didn't know," she told me, she said. "Of course," she said, I cut in. "She lied to you. But you destroyed our home before checking anything." Kelvin covered his face with both hands. Everyone watched him crumble. I wasn't done. I took the divorce papers from his hand. Raised them high. "I'm not signing your divorce," I said. Kelvin looked up instantly, hope glowing in his eyes. But I paused. Let him feel hope. Then took it away. "I am filing my own divorce papers next week." The hall roared. Claps. Cheers. even whistles. Kelvin dropped to his knees right there. Miriam, please. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Give me another chance. People actually pushed him away from me angrily. I stepped back from him. You don't get to break me, embarrass me, accuse me, cheat on me, then beg only because your own cheating backfired. I placed the mic down slowly. You lost your chance long ago. Kelvin cried into his hands. Actual tears. Real ones. But it was too late. I turned to my guests and gave the speech I had prepared, the one I was supposed to give before Kelvin destroyed the celebration. Today was supposed to be a happy day, I said. But sometimes God lets the truth come out at the perfect moment. My baby will enter this world with peace, joy, and no lies around them. I may be alone, but I am not weak. I am not broken. I am free. People clapped loudly. Some women hugged me. Some wiped their eyes. Some told me they wished they had been this brave in their own marriages. And Kelvin? He just knelt there, watching everything crumble like sand slipping through his fingers. He reached out his hand. Miriam, don't go. But I walked past him slowly, belly high, head high, heart strong, and the entire hall followed me out like I was the queen of a parade. Kelvin stayed kneeling on the floor. Alone. With divorce papers in his hand. And the truth tearing him apart. The man who wanted to destroy me was destroyed by his own lies. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl named Ariel. She had Kelvin's eyes. But she had my strength. Kelvin tried to come back. He begged. He called. He apologized every day. But I kept my promise. I divorced him. Not out of revenge, but out of peace. He sees Ariel sometimes. But he no longer controls my life. No longer controls my joy. No longer controls my future. I rebuilt myself. Stayed with family. Found a job. Found happiness again. And most importantly, I learned that sometimes the ending you fear the most is the beginning you needed the most. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth.